Shalom, shalom. This video is about the Gospel of John chapter 20 and verses 19 to 29. And it's about Thomas Didymus' prayer. One of the 12, I read the text for you, one of the 12, Thomas called the twin, that is Didymus in Greek, was not with them when Yeshua came to appear to the other disciples. The other disciples were saying to him, "We have seen the Lord." What they say is, "We've seen ADONAI." But he replied, Thomas replied to them, saying, "Unless I see the nail prints in his hand and put my finger into the mark of the nails and put my hand in his side, I will never believe." What a strong statement, "I will never believe." However, 8 days later, the disciples were again inside and Thomas was with them. Yeshua came despite the locked doors. He stood in their midst and said, "Shalom Aleichem, peace be unto you, my brothers." Then he said to Thomas, "Put your finger here and look at my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." Thomas answered and said to him, "My Lord and my God." What he said in Hebrew is ADONAI ELI. Yeshua said to Thomas then, "Because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are the ones who have not seen and yet have believed." So Thomas Didymus was a skeptic, at least in this moment he was. He required proof, he had to see to believe. He was an interesting character though, a dual personality who either blew hot or cold. He probably was one of a twin, but he was a twin, a duality within as well. In John 10 verse 16, Thomas Didymus wanted to lay down his life for Yeshua because he believed that Yeshua is the Messiah of God. And here in John 20 verses 19 to 24, he hesitated to believe that Yeshua resurrected. His earlier bravado became skepticism. Maybe in the light of the bloody events that happened over that Pesach Moed. It could very well be because he was shell-shocked and suffering from PTS, post-traumatic stress. So we should not dismiss him too quickly as a doubter or as someone with a dual personality disorder. But in his doubt, Thomas Didymus represents many Jewish people who find it almost impossible to imagine that the Jesus proclaimed by Christians could be the Jewish Messiah. After they were persecuted in this name by the Roman Catholic Church through inquisitions and pogromed in this name by the Orthodox Church and holocausted in this name by the Protestant Church. In truth, the Christian Church in all of this served as Satan, the enemy of God, and not the Messiah of God in their persecution of the Jews. Through the deeds of the Christian Church, it became almost impossible for Jews to recognize their Messiah. The Messiah was further obscured through the Church's rejection of the Torah, through the replacement of Adonai's Moedim with pagan days, Christmas and Easter, the festival unto Ishtar, and through corrupted doctrine. So in these verses we see prophecy how Yeshua will return to the Jews on the 8th day. The 8th day is a metaphor for a new beginning. The number 8's meaning is a new beginning. To show them the marks, Yeshua will return to show them his marks of the suffering servant Messiah. Like he said, like he invited Thomas to inspect his wounds. Then all Israel will believe and all Israel will pray Thomas Didymus' prayer, "My Lord and my God, ADONAI ELI." And then all Israel will be saved, just as Paul wrote to the Romans in chapter 11 verse 26. And with that, I bid you shalom shalom.